Making choices can be a real dilemma, right? Even the small ones. I recently talked to a colleague of mine who was offered a job for coaching engagement in a corporate environment. And under the guise of this is a batch engagement and you're going to get a fair bit of work with it, um, the rate was shockingly low, right? Even for a life coaching space, I would have said that's quite a low rate. So given given the work that they do, the training that they've got, the journey that they've come from, the experience they bring in, all the hours of coaching, the accreditation. I mean, it's just, it made me so angry. I had to laugh, right? But it was serious because that coach was facing, like, initially they said, like, this is not okay, right? That's nobody should take on that rate. And if I take on that rate, then people take on that rate and then they're going to continue offer it because they're going to pay as little as they can get away with realistically. But at the same time, they had experiences in the past where they did say this, like, just offering this rate is quite offensive. You know, maybe they said it in more political terms, right? But every time they did respond to a rate like that, not just for coaching, but for anything, the person just said, oh yeah, that's fine. It's already full anyway. Bye. And then never heard from them again. So they had learned to certainly not say, this is offensive, this is not a right rate. You shouldn't be doing that. But also to turn it down. They started hesitating, right? And in a way, when you're in a position where you'd rather coach because they enjoy coaching, they love coaching, they'd rather coach for a shockingly low rate than to not coach. And there wasn't a lot of other work going around at the time that did have the capacity. So what are you going to do? Coach for an offensive rate or not coach at all? Not work at all? Maybe you really need the work. Maybe that person who offered it really knows that people really need the work and that there's bound to be people who are going to say yes to that. So difficult decision because there's a sense of integrity that is attacked by saying yes. And it's been difficult to say no or to say yes while you preserve your own value. Oh, I'm going to do it for you. I'm committed to invest in this program or something like that. There's some middle ways in which you can maintain value while you're also saying yes to something that you shouldn't be saying yes to. So that was a really interesting decision-making process, right? But to say yes, what would it mean for your future career and your integrity? So, these choices are so tricky, and you never know where it's going to go. You never know what's going to happen if you do. Maybe you say no and they really respect it, and in the future they offer you higher rates. Maybe you say no and everybody else says no, and then you've done a really good thing for your industry. But maybe you have no influence on this whatsoever because they're always going to find people. So just notice the story you tell yourself behind those kind of decisions that you're making. And either way, it's just going to take courage and some boldness to choose whichever way.